G'day guys, welcome to London. So today I'll be exploring what's known as the City. And in Shakespeare's time, the City was essentially 1 square mile which surrounded St. Paul's Cathedral. Now today it still exists and it's basically the financial heart of London, and it's densely packed with a lot of history, cultural exhibitions and business. So join me as we explore this city neighbourhood of London, which is basically from where the City of London, Londinium, all started. We're basically gonna start at this church and then just head due east along the Strand, Fleet Street, and we're basically parallel to the River Thames. So we're gonna be checking out all of these gorgeous, iconic buildings and digging up some of the history about them and learning along the way. So here behind me is the original Twinings store. So originally this business was started in 1706. So you can imagine how long this family business has been around. Now it's worth to go in just for the aroma alone. So this is the Temple Bar Monument, and now this road is officially changed from the Strand to Fleet Street. So behind me over there is the Church of St. Dunstan, which marks the point where the Great Fire of 1666 actually ended. This entire area on Fleet Street, these blocks were actually all a complete wasteland. So on 2nd September 1666, near London Bridge is where this small fire started, and actually for 4 days it raged on and on and on and made all its way throughout London up until St. Dunstan's Church, where 40 theology students ran out of the building and actually were able to extinguish the fire. So you can imagine this one street has gone through so many different cycles, so many different iterations of what it is today. You can imagine in World War II it was leveled by the Nazi Luftwaffe bombings. In 1666 it was razed to the ground because of the Great Fire. 1 year before that you had the Great Bubonic or Black Plague, which would have basically decimated the population. Up to around 5,000 people per week were dying as a result of the Black Plague. So you would have heard people in the streets yelling out, "Bring out your dead, bring out your dead." So usually what would happen, people for about a week would be feeling really sick, they'd have headaches, they'd be vomiting, they'd have lumps in their groin area, and they'd finally die and their skin would turn black. And that's why we call it the Black Plague. So much has happened in this little area of London. The city neighbourhood, 1 square mile, has been around since Londinium. And now today, after being destroyed, rebuilt, and rebuilt again, it's one of the busiest tourist areas and one of the financial hubs for London, England, and much of Europe. Now London's all about little lanes and courts. The one that we're exploring right now is going to spill into a little court, Dr. Johnson's Court. So we're continuing our walk down on Fleet Street, and as we're getting further and further east, we're getting closer to those medieval origins of London, but we still have a little while to go. So behind me is St. Paul's Cathedral, which is a absolutely iconic piece of architecture here in London, which you'd probably see in a lot of photos, movies, and elsewhere. St. Paul's Cathedral has been rebuilt a total number of 4 times, with the current design being by Christopher Wren, who's taken a lot of neoclassical Greek and Roman architectural elements and infused it into this gorgeous building. Actually, in World War II, the dome was pierced by Nazi ammunition, but fortunately, the cathedral itself is not destroyed. It actually sits on Ludgate Hill, which is London's highest point at 111 meters in elevation. So you can see down there it's Fleet Street, all the way down where we started. We basically just followed this one street, seeing all these different monuments and buildings and courtyards. It also has a beautiful crypt downstairs, and up the top you can get fantastic panoramic views of London. For the time being, we're not going to go in. We're going to push on with our tour, just time-wise, and I hope to take you guys further east, down to the Tower of London and the London Bridge. So we're now walking on Cheapside, which is basically, in Shakespeare's time, was the East meets West Street. It's called Cheapside because it was the marketplace at the time, so you could get everything from bread, flour, milk, all the basic necessities. They even have streets called Bread Street or Milk Street, for example. But today, as you're probably imagining, it's no longer cheap, and it's actually home to many expensive stores and boutiques. As you can see, London is a busy place. Everyone's got somewhere to go, somewhere to be. Definitely a different vibe from a lot of the other cities I've explored around the world.
Alright, thanks a lot.
So Cheapside is also known for having experienced what they call the Blitz. So in the falls of 1940 and 41, Hitler waged a massive firebombing campaign. Most of those bombs fell here in Cheapside. It was completely leveled to the ground. Over 20,000 people died after 57 consecutive days of firebombing the city. So can you imagine all the buildings, all these roads that we're standing on today would have been completely rubble at the time. This intersection is called Bank Junction. This is the centre of the financial district in London. So over there, the building with the 6 columns is called Mansion House, and just opposite is the very original stock exchange. And as the name implies, it was originally the exchange of stock. So traders would exchange their goods for money, and merchants would make money trading it in between. So in front of us here we've got London Bridge, and down there, downriver of the Thames, we've got the Tower Bridge. The first bridges here were built by the Romans about 2,000 years ago. This would have been built from wood originally, and it was only until 1176 that they actually built it from stone, which lasted for about 600 years. Until then, it had various forms, shapes and sizes, and of course it was destroyed multiple times. they actually built houses here in order to be able to get tax for the city. It's a very smart way of actually giving people a place to live. So you can imagine over here, people would have been trading, living. There actually were spikes on top of the kind of entrance hall with people's heads on them, impaled as well. So that would have been quite a grim entrance to the city. So we've just seen London Bridge and now we're heading over to the Tower Bridge further east on the Thames. So there we go, the Tower Bridge, one of the most iconic, recognisable landmarks in the world, and of course, the most recognisable landmark in London. It was opened in 1894. It is the only bridge that opens in London. It takes about 60 seconds to open this bridge, which is open about 1,000 times a year, and it's about 240 metres in length. Well everyone, we're getting to the end of our walk. I hope you guys enjoyed exploring London as much as I did. I mean, it's really just packed with so much, and it's super walkable, which I just love. You know, from one end to another, you can just easily carve out 1 or 2, 3 hours, depending on how much detail you want to go into everything, and you can easily traverse all the little courtyards and streets and main roads and see this beautiful city in all its glory. And let's just stop for a moment and actually think about what London's been through. It's survived fires, plagues, blitzes, I mean, economic downturns. You know, and here it is, like a phoenix really, continually building up, expanding outwards, growing in population, and proving to be one truly global metropolis city. So if you guys loved the video, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next adventure.